Hey guys, it's Jessica here. So if you guys have watched my latest TRABAHO episode, I have worked as a jeepney barker for a day, and at the end of my work, I got to discuss briefly with the jeepney driver Kuya about the impending Jeepney Phase Out project in the Philippines. And this is a big topic because whether you take public transportation or not, you probably heard about or even got affected by the week-long jeepney strike that happened in early March this year. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to talk about this issue on this video.
Desidido na ang department.
Upcoming phase-out of traditional jeepney.
Malapit na nga bang mag-last trip ang mga binansagang hari ng kalsada?
Public transportation is considered as the backbone life of any community. And here in the Philippines, focusing on Metro Manila, according to Move as One Coalition, only 30% of Filipinos rely on private vehicles, leaving 70% of Filipinos to depend on public transportation. Along with this, written in the paper of Dr. Montalvo Jr., that 8,959,000 individuals ride public utility jeepneys or PUJs, while 1,865,000 people ride public utility buses or the PUB, making jeepneys the main form of transportation among Filipinos. And to give you a quick history on jeepneys in the Philippines, as you guys all know, Philippine jeepneys were created after World War II when the US military left behind a lot of surplus jeeps. Filipinos saw an opportunity to use these jeeps as public vehicles to address the post-war transportation shortage. However, despite jeepneys' popularity and significance, the future of the jeepney is uncertain due to the concerns over safety and emissions. Currently, there are around 270,000 franchise jeepney units on the road across the Philippines, with around 75,000 units in Metro Manila alone. And 90% of these jeepneys are more than 15 years old and actually produce significant environmental pollution. Oh, no. Moreover, according to a Manila aerosol characterization experiment study, jeepney make up 20% of all vehicles in Metro Manila and are responsible for 94% of the harmful soot particles in the air. These jeepneys emit more than 2,000 times more pollution than what is allowed in Europe under the Euro 6 diesel standard. There also has been lots of problems that was raised with jeepneys itself in terms of safety and efficiency for the people and the jeepney drivers. So, to solve the environmental and safety and efficiency concerns of jeepneys, the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program, or the PUVMP, was established. It was launched by the Department of Transportation 6 years ago, actually, in 2017. The program aims to make the country's public transportation system efficient and environment-friendly. And one method they intend to implement is to phase out jeepneys, buses, and other PUVs or public utility vehicles that are at least 15 years old and replace them with a safer, more comfortable, and sustainable alternatives. And of course, this is only the first and small step in their larger plan. And because it's one of the first steps, that's why it has to begin properly. And that's why a lot of people are eyeing on this issue right now, I think. According to the guideline they released, replacement of PUVs such as e-jeepneys and modernized diesel jeepneys are required to have at least Euro 4 compliant engine or an electric engine, and must contain safety features like speed limiters, accessibility features like ramps and seatbelts, closed-circuit television cameras, Wi-Fi and USB ports, GPS, and a dashboard camera. Furthermore, drivers and operators must form cooperatives or corporations and register with the LTFRB, or the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, to be granted a franchise, with each cooperative having a minimum of 15 drivers or 15 units of jeepneys. And now let's dive more deeply into the issue. What will be the pros and what will be the cons? What are the concerns that has been arised? So first of all, I would like to talk about the new models that the government proposed as an alternative of the traditional jeepneys, which are the modern Euro 4 jeepneys and the e-jeepneys. So one thing that we all have to take note is that the modern Euro 4 jeepneys are not the same as the existing e-jeepneys we have right now. And the DOT's proposed Euro 4 engine still runs using diesel. So when we compare the diesel-fueled jeepney to an e-jeepney of course gets in the lead for the favorite choice because, first, it can defeat the biggest and constant factor to consider, the uncertainty of diesel prices. Secondly, it can assure the maintenance of keeping a clean engine. So therefore, making use of e-jeepneys for public transportation can probably provide commuters with constant transportation fares and, of course, better air quality. However, the only downside is that an electric-powered jeepney depends on electricity to function. And there's still no government regulation on the cost of electricity consumption, which is the current dilemma of existing e-jeepneys. There is also no definite study or expense report on how much energy e-jeepneys would consume should they be the primary mode of public transportation. So, if e-jeepneys are the technically more environmentally friendly vehicle option, why are jeepney drivers still obligated to switch their traditional jeepneys into Euro 4 engine jeepneys? So let's do a quick visual comparison. So as you can see, these images flashed on screen, the e-jeepney is basically like the traditional jeepney. There's not much difference except that it relies on electricity and government support. However, the model of the new Euro 4 modern jeepney, as you can see, has more advancements. And although these jeepneys run by diesel, Canon Motor Philippines, or HMP, the exclusive distributor of modern jeepneys, claim that their vehicles are powered by a cleaner Euro 4 engine, and the units are built following the government specifications of a modern jeepney. So whether or not it becomes an e-jeepney or the Euro 4 modern jeepney, it will still be better than the trad jeepneys that we have out there. So knowing these facts, now let's take a look at the cost of operation as explained by Freddie Tinga. So trad jeepneys have an average mileage of 5.5 kilometers per liter. So if the diesel cost is 92 pesos per liter, cost per kilometer is about 16.7 pesos per kilometer. And then the modernized Euro 4 jeepneys with aircon have an average mileage of 3.2 kilometers per liter. That means its cost per kilometer is 28.7. So that's almost 2 times the trad jeepneys. Meanwhile, the all-electric minibuses in Davao City consume 250 watts per kilometer. So with the electricity costing 10 pesos per kilowatt, its operation cost would be only 4.5 pesos per kilometer. And now let's talk about the costs of the jeepney itself, which is the most important part. So the cost of the new modern jeepneys or e-jeepneys would range from 1.6 million to 3 million pesos, which is around 3 times the cost of trad jeepneys. And in order for the jeepney drivers to be able to phase out the old jeepneys and purchase a new one, the government proposed the financing package called 5678, which is 5% down payment, 6% interest rate, 7 years to pay, and 80,000 subsidy per unit. So let's do the math again. That means if a new jeepney costs 2.4 million pesos, the driver needs to pay 120,000 pesos one-time down payment. And since the government will provide 80,000 pesos as subsidy per unit, so that would be 40,000 pesos for the down payment. And there's still a 6% interest rate or an additional 144,000 on top of the 2.4 million pesos, the cost of the new jeepney. And this has to be paid within 7 years. So in easy words, imagine a jeepney driver gets a 10-year loan to pay for his 2.4 million worth modern jeepney. That would mean he has to pay 240,000 pesos per year or 20,000 pesos per month. And in order for jeepney drivers to be able to get a loan, they need to be a part of a cooperative first. And this cooperative acts like a safety net that each driver can meet his financial obligations per month. And of course, being part of the cooperation is not free. You have to raise 300,000 pesos. So that means if there are 15 units in one cooperative, that 20,000 pesos per jeepney driver that they have to pay. And there's a big change that's happening here for the jeepney drivers. They won't be able to privately own the vehicle. And another thing is that they are going to have a fixed income. That would be around 700 pesos fixed salary per day. So 2 big changes are happening here for the jeepney drivers, that how the jeepney drivers were being operated before would be like a personal business, like a personal taxi almost, where If you work more, then you can earn more. If you pack more people in your jeepney, then you can earn more. And if you drive a little faster and go back and forth more, you can earn more, right? But it's going to switch into a fixed rate.
The all unit is handled by the cooperative. You will not own. Kung kumikita ka ngayon ng 3,000, 2,000 sa pagmamaneho mo, ngayon, pag driver ka na lang, 700 na lang.
So this new setup for the drivers has been already implemented in some areas around the Philippines. So for example, in December 2019, Baltransco drivers received their first salary under the modernization program. They received 325 pesos plus a 90 pesos allowance per day, which was then considered a rate above the minimum in the Caraga region. In this setup, drivers work 8 hours a day to receive their pay, but should they wish to work overtime, they also get OT pay. And once they reach their quota, they also get a 10% incentive. So this setup is the case for the Baltransco drivers in the Caraga region, so it may also depending on the region, I think. So we don't have enough information yet on how the specific process for the jeepney drivers are going to be like. So while help is provided from the government, most drivers cry that the whole program is not ideal for them. And it's simply because majority of them cannot afford to provide the amount needed to be a part of this new process. Thus, the strike that happened last March. Moreover, it is not only the jeepney drivers who will shoulder the costs of modernization. This big change is expected to create a ripple effect that could lead to a rise in transportation costs, even for foods and goods, ultimately increasing the cost of living for Filipino households. So that's a jeepney phase out issue explained based on the information I was able to find. What people should know is that the LTFRB gave the drivers and operators December 31, 2023 as their last day to join an existing consolidated entity, or they will no longer be allowed to continue their operations. After that, the modifications will be applied nationwide. But as I said, that this is still an ongoing process, so the government promised to still review this modernization program for the benefit of the whole. If I were to share my personal notes, I guess, on this is that the world is changing. Jeepney, I thought, would be in the Philippines like forever, and now that this is happening and I really see the change that the Philippines is trying to implement, I am really realizing that time is passing, and as the world changes, we need to adjust ourselves to the new world. And that's why these kind of projects are coming along the way, which I think in terms of its objective, which is to make lives better for the Filipinos by providing better transportation system that is more sustainable. I think it's a good objective, but of course, it has to be done very much meticulously. Whether you own a car or you are a public commuter, everyone is going to be affected by this upcoming change. So I guess it's really important for us to look into these new changes happening in the country and think or contemplate on what we could do to contribute so that society will be better. Wait, that sounds that sounds so cliche, but that's really what I want to say though. Anyways guys, always talking videos is basically a conversation starter, so please leave your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video for now, and I'll see you guys in my next one.